Kiedyś, hello, hey, hello, salut, ciao, oi, hola, hello. Welcome to my presentation on building bridges through language and insights from being part of polyglot community. So here's what we'll discuss today. We're going to start with an introduction, then I'm going to talk about the polyglot community and the polyglotism in general. Then we're going to discuss some challenges and strategies. We're going to also talk about the International Association of Hyperpolyglots, which I am representing today. Then we're going to talk about polyglot gatherings and conferences. If we have time, we can do a language quiz that I prepared. And finally, we're going to have a Q&A session. So if you can just wait with all the questions till the end, then I would be grateful. Finally, I'm going to tell you some important websites and contact details, so definitely stay till the end. And hello, my name is Wiktoria Ozierow. I am the Director of Youth Engagement in the International Association of Hyperpolyglots, and I'm going to talk about that a bit later. I would say I am fluent in 6 languages, and I am conversant in several others. And apart from that, I have a bachelor's degree in international relations, and I am currently in the middle of my master's degree in international management. Here are my languages. So, since I am Polish, obviously my native language is Polish. I was born in Warsaw, lived there for 18 years of my life, and then I moved to Krakow to study. And I've been living there for the past 4 years. I started learning English at a very young age at school. I also have a C2 certificate. Then I also learned Spanish at school, and I also have a certificate at B2 level. After that, I also learned Italian, which I didn't really plan, but I was offered 10 free Italian lessons, and I took this opportunity, and I continued and never stopped. I am actually finishing my last semester of a C2 course, and I also did an Erasmus exchange in Rome a few years ago. So I went there to study politics and economics fully in Italian. When the pandemic started, I also started learning Portuguese since I was very bored, and I did it very naturally by watching videos, and since I already knew Spanish, I learned it very quickly, and I also have like a C1 level now, I think. Around the same time, I also started learning French, which I did by taking online courses, and I also studied it at university. And I went a few times to France to practice my speaking with native speakers. And I also put Swedish here because I've been studying it for the past 2 years, and I feel like I can understand a lot, but I cannot still speak very well, so this is my goal for this year to actually start speaking Swedish. And I am also a beginner in a few more languages, such as Croatian, Czech, German, and I am currently studying Irish and Greek. If you have any questions about my languages, you can ask them at the end, or I also have a blog about language learning, so it's called Linguas and More, and you can also check it out. I will also have that link later. So what is the polyglot community? I would define it as a diverse group of people who are passionate about learning and using multiple languages, and it includes travelers, learners, teachers, linguists, and students. Basically anyone who has an interest in learning languages. I would also say that for polyglots, learning languages is something more than just memorizing words. It's more about personal growth, cognitive development, cross-cultural friendship, and so on. So obviously the idea of speaking multiple languages dates back to ancient civilizations, and later, especially during the Renaissance period, speaking multiple languages was highly valued by scholars. And then the digital revolution in the late 20th century sparked modern online polyglot community that we know today. And with the digital tools, it all became much easier to learn languages and connect with other polyglots. And that's also when polyglot conferences started to appear. And these are some of the polyglot community pioneers that I think you should know about. The first one is Richard Simcott. He is a very famous British hyper-polyglot who can speak over 50 languages, which is in itself very impressive. He is the founder of the Polyglot Conference. He also has a son who is a polyglot, and he has a YouTube channel which is very inspiring and it's called Speaking Fluently. And he always shows up at polyglot gatherings and conferences, so it's really easy to talk to him, and he's somewhat of a celebrity in the polyglot community. So yeah, and the next one is Benny Lewis. He's an Irish polyglot who is known for his Fluent in 3 Months series, in which he tries to learn the language in 3 months, which of course is not very possible to reach a native level in such a short time. But he still tries, and after those 3 months, he is usually able to hold a conversation in those languages. And he is also known for his TED Talks. Tim Keeley is also a very inspiring person who lived in many countries on many different continents. He recently published a book about his life in 30 languages, which is available in multilingual and bilingual versions. And he's also a speaker. He always shows up at polyglot gatherings, so you can also meet him there. And I think he recently also got his Japanese citizenship, which is also interesting. And these are some of the values that polyglots share. So that's open-mindedness, collaboration, lifelong learning, curiosity, and cultural sensitivity. So we as polyglots try to embrace diversity, and we definitely respect and support other learners, and we inspire one another. And what is actually going on in the polyglot brain, or what is the polyglot mindset? So like I said, we try to embrace diversity. We see languages as windows into different cultures. Curiosity-driven learning, so we definitely find the joy in learning new words, new dialects, new grammar structures, etc. We have a growth mindset, which means we view mistakes as stepping stones into fluency. We try to set clear, realistic, and measurable goals. We are also trying not to fear making mistakes, because that's actually the only way that we're going to learn the language, is by making mistakes. We experiment with different methods, so that's immersion, flashcards, storytelling, and many others. And we stick to our language learning process even if the progress feels slow. And last but not least, we try to engage in the polyglot community so that we can make friends with people from all over the world. Sounds familiar? Yeah, it's very common for polyglots that it's hard to focus on just one language, since there are so many beautiful languages in the world. Okay. And have you heard those myths about polyglots? Like, polyglots have a special language gene, or you have to start young to become a polyglot. These are completely false. While I do believe that some people may have predispositions to learn languages, anyone can learn a language if they want to, if they use the right resources and if they are motivated and consistent. You have to start young to become a polyglot. That's completely false. I know people who knew only one language at 50, and then they learned 15 more languages, and they are 70 now and still learning languages. Of course, some children may have advantages in learning languages, they may do it quicker. However, adults can use more effective language techniques. So, yeah. Fluency means speaking native. I think that is not true, and that the goal should not be to be perfect and sound like a native. It's all about just effective communication, and of course everyone is going to have their own accent, so we shouldn't put so much pressure on us to be perfect. Instead, we can just focus on being understood and expressing ourselves clearly. Polyglots never forget languages. That is not true. Anyone can forget a language if they don't practice it, and polyglots are no exception. That's why it's very important to practice those languages from time to time so that you do not forget them. You have to live abroad to learn a language. That is not true. Especially nowadays, it's really easy to immerse yourself from your own home if you have the internet. You can read books or watch movies, and that way you can learn languages. And you do not have to travel and spend money in order to learn the language. You cannot learn multiple languages at the same time. That is also not true. Many polyglots learn a few languages at the same time, but of course it's really important to have the right techniques and separate those languages if possible, so that you do not confuse them. Some languages are too hard to learn. That is also completely false. Of course, it depends which languages you already know, and you may find some languages harder to learn, some easier. However, every language is learnable, and you shouldn't be demotivated and think that some language may be too hard for you to learn. And what are some advantages of being a polyglot? There are definitely many advantages, and I could do a separate presentation about that. For instance, retaining vocabulary strengthens your memory. Switching between languages can also enhance your cognitive flexibility, and thinking in different languages can also lead to creativity and unique solving skills, problem-solving skills. And of course, it also helps prevent dementia and Alzheimer's. Yeah, you can also get more work opportunities if you speak multiple languages. Apparently, multilingual employees can earn between 5 and 20% more on average. Yeah, you're also gonna have more, have deeper understanding of different cultures and more empathy towards them. Yeah, you can also enjoy books and movies in the original language. You can have a growth mindset, and it will also encourage you to have a passion for languages. Yeah, and it also builds confidence in public speaking and interpersonal communication. So there are definitely many benefits of being a polyglot. And now let's talk about why I consider speaking multiple languages as a superpower. So, like I said before, I did an Erasmus exchange in Rome, and I studied in Italian, and that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And I think it was because I knew the local language. It made it completely different, and I feel like this is my second home now. And after I went back to Poland, I really missed being in an international environment. So that's why I decided to go to Croatia for a one-week training in peace awareness through volunteering and education. And that's also where I met so many lovely people from 7 or 8 countries. And I tried talking to everyone in their native language. So that was really fun for me. I made many friends, and by the end of that week, everyone knew me as the girl who spoke multiple languages. And last year I also went to Berlin to visit my friend who was in Erasmus there, and I also talked to her friends in many languages. And I actually found out that one of my favorite YouTubers, polyglot YouTubers, was there at the same time, so I texted her, and we met for breakfast and we went for a walk. Her name is HYPIA. She's 1 year younger than me, and she's from Turkey. She is now studying in Milan, and that's better. Last year she actually managed to take and pass five language exams on advanced level, so that's very impressive, and I also feel very inspired by her. So, excuse me. These are some challenges that polyglots may face, and these are the ways how they overcome them. So the first one is mixing languages, which is very common. The remedy for that is language separation and assigning different contexts. So for example, if you're learning French and Italian at the same time, you can practice French at home and Italian in a coffee shop, and that way your brain will know which language is which, and it won't confuse them as much. Hitting a plateau, and if you're feeling stuck in your language learning, you can just try new content that is beyond your comfort zone. So you can start reading a book or watching something on a more advanced level than you were before, and that way you will keep your brain engaged. If you have time management issues and if you cannot find time to learn languages, you can try the little but often method, which means that you learn for 5 minutes every day, 5 to 10 minutes, depends on your schedule, and that's definitely better than just studying once a week for an hour, because that way you will just learn on a regular basis and your brain will remember the words better with practice. And if you fear making mistakes, you should just realize that when you talk to native speakers, it's a safe space and you shouldn't be embarrassed to make mistakes, because that's a natural part of the language learning process. And with time it will get better, and you just need to embrace that, because that is inevitable. And if you fear forgetting languages, then I would suggest language rotation, so that you, for example, try learning practice different languages from time to time, and you can plan that, okay, in September I will practice Italian, so that you do not forget this language, and so on. And these are some of the language learning strategies of successful polyglots. So that's immersion and contextual learning. It means learning languages through real life context. So you can, for example, go to a certain country or watch a TV show, and that way you will remember vocabulary better, and you will also have a deeper cultural understanding. The next one is prioritizing speaking and listening very early in your language learning journey, and that's because that way you will build confidence in speaking in that language, and it will help you learn quicker. The next one is spaced repetition and active recall, which it means that you practice languages from time to time, so that you do not forget them, and you can make flashcards, for example, and study those words first once a week, then once a month, and then once a year. You can just go for those flashcards so that you do not forget those words. Then you can also use diversified language resources. So you can combine books, podcasts, TV shows, textbooks, whatever you like. And that way you will learn different aspects of the language. And but you need to be careful not to choose too many resources, because that way you will feel the pressure to use all of them at once, and that's not realistic. So you can just stick to 3 or 4, and I think that will be the best. The next one is shadowing and scriptorium method. So that just means repeating sentences aloud and writing them multiple times. That way you will internalize your learning, and you will remember words better. And then social interaction and language exchange is also very crucial for language learning, because you will make friends, and when you're speaking with native native speakers, you can get authentic conversational practice, and you will also be able to get feedback right away. Okay, and now let's talk about the International Association of Hyperpolyglots, which I am representing today. This is an association of hyperpolyglots, so we define it as people who are fluent in at least 6 languages, and this is our president. His name is Dr. Usman Chauhan. He is an economist and writer from Pakistan, and he actually founded HYPIA on the 9th of November 2016, which is his birthday. So the story is that 3 days before his birthday, he was looking online for an association like this, and he couldn't find anything like that, so he just decided to just create it himself, and that's what he did. It took him 3 days to create HYPIA, and we've definitely grown since then. So what are the benefits of being in HYPIA? Well, first of all, you get a certificate that will confirm your fluency in at least 6 languages. We also post interviews with HYPIA members at our website, and we have monthly meetings on Zoom. And those meetings are actually open not only for HYPIA members, but for all polyglots. So if you're not a member yet, you can also join. And these are some of the entry requirements. So you need to know at least 6 languages at a professional level, or 7 languages at a conversational level, but 3 of them need to be on a fluent level. Or you can know 8 languages at a conversational level. And how to actually apply? So first of all, you're gonna answer 7 questions, which is the written interview that we'll post on our website. Then you will also write a short essay about your language learning journey. You need to also provide a photograph of yours for our HYPIA profile. And we're also going to need proof of your fluency. So that's usually when you record yourself talking in for at least 1 minute in each language. And that's how we assess if you really speak those languages. And this is the HYPIA membership map. So as you can see, most HYPIA members are from Europe, and some of the major countries are the US, Italy, Brazil, Poland, Spain, Mexico, Argentina, and Germany. And we actually recently also published a book. By we, I mean Dr. Usman Chauhan and Dr. Carlos Yerba Lopez. He is the director of research at HYPIA. And this book offers a critical approach to the study of polyglossia. And the contents of this book are, so the first part is called The Polyglot Industry, a Cartography. The second part is called Critical Polyglot Studies, a Roadmap. And the chapters are the polyglot community, genealogy and nature, the polyglot industry, experts and institutions, the polyglot matrix, the ideology of the polyglot industry, and institutional case studies. And actually, the third chapter of this book is freely available as a PDF, so you can check it out. And on our YouTube channel, we also have 3 videos, I think, where the writers of this book answer any questions that people have. Technology has definitely revolutionized the polyglot community, and it made language learning much easier, as well as community building. And these are some of the resources that polyglots use. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but these are digital tools, online exchange, websites, language learning apps, and so on. And now let's talk about polyglot gatherings and conferences. So the polyglot gathering is the biggest one and probably the most known event. It happens in Europe once a year, and it's a bit more informal than the polyglot conference. It has interactive workshops, lectures, you can also learn salsa, for example. It all depends on what the polyglots and members suggest. And I will talk about that a bit later. The Polyglot Conference is an annual global event with expert talks, so that's more an event for linguists and teachers, but not only. Expo Lingua is based in Berlin, and it's more of a networking event, but it's also for polyglots. And there are obviously many local meetups and language cafes around the world. And why is it worth it to attend? I would say for the people, the connections that you make, the friends from different parts of the world that you wouldn't meet otherwise. Also, you can travel and have fun, learn something. There are definitely many reasons to attend. So that's the Polyglot Gathering. This year it happens both online and offline. The offline event is going to take place in Brno in May. And here's a short video about the Polyglot Gathering that happened in Slovakia. Last year, I really loved the talk of Jonathan Hale about his community in Stockholm that he built himself, and it gathers polyglots from many parts of the world. And I remember that someone handed him the guitar and asked him to sing a song because he's not a singer, but he's known for singing sometimes. And he sang us a song in Swedish, and it was really lovely, and everyone started clapping and dancing. So that's, you can see what the Polyglot Gathering looks like. These are also some of my pictures. Here on the right, this is my badge with all of my languages. So there are 10 languages. I don't know if you can see very well, but everyone gets a badge like that, and that way it's really easy to see who speaks which languages, and it's like an icebreaker as well, so you can just see who speaks your languages, and you can come up to them and just start talking. That's really great. These are the other directors of HYPIA. So on the left there is Julie, she's from Korea, and she's the director of outreach. Carlos is a director of research. Matthias is the director of recruitment, and yeah, it's me. Now let's talk about the Polyglot Conference. Last year it happened both online and offline, and the offline event was in Malta. And this year I think it will happen in Slovenia, Ljubljana, but it's not an official info yet, so we'll see. And I also have a short video.
Born out of that community.
It's an opportunity for people who enjoy languages to get together and to meet other people. Be sort of stimulated, encouraged by the fact that there are so many people out there learning languages, and then to listen to speakers talk about their experiences in learning or discovering languages or about languages.
We're at the Kyushu Sangyo University, which is where we're having the conference. As a main theme, we chose to celebrate indigenous endangered languages. I'm really pleased this year that we have italki as a platinum sponsor for the event.
That people, regardless of who they are or where they come from, so that they can learn from each other.
I feel we're heading for a golden age of polyglots. You're no longer dependent on a teacher, an accredited teacher, a school. I use tutors on italki once or twice a week, and most of them are very good. Anyone can learn, and there's just an abundance of resources there that'll help you.
Besides learning myself, I had a motivation to help people who have passion like me, actually.
At places like the Polyglot Conference, where people say, oh, I'm a teacher on italki, oh, I'm a community teacher, oh, I study with italki, and I do this and I do that, and you hear people communicating with each other. People meet, say, they're away, and they say, have you heard of italki? And you get this and say, actually, do you know, not only have I heard of it, I use it. And so why not, anything that's a point of reference, point that brings people together, a commonality, I think that's the basis and the start of friendships. And it's really powerful.
Takes place in Berlin every year in November, and this is actually the only free event, so you can attend completely free of charge. And like I said, it's more of a networking event for polyglots.
And this event is amazing if you want to find new opportunities.
Ich bin hier mit meiner Klasse und wir wollen einfach nur ein paar Workshops machen, wie das hier.
I came to Expolingua because I wanted to get immersed into this language world, and I wanted to get to know some of my favorite YouTubers, language coaches.
It's the exhibition that brings together so many different languages, and that is just the beauty of it. Not only the languages, but also the culture.
I'm here for the meetup with London community.
Spero di vedervi l'anno prossimo all'Expolingua 2020 qui a Berlino.
Do zobaczenia na następnym Expolingua.
Na roku jestem Berlino. Bye bye. Ciao.
Okay, and the important thing to know is that although these events are called polyglot gatherings and conferences, they are not only for polyglots. You can just know your language and want to learn more languages, and you just need to have an interest in learning languages, so that that is the only requirement to attend. And what is the future of the polyglot community? So of course the rise of artificial intelligence will make the process of learning languages much easier for polyglots. But of course we need to remember that the most crucial part is human interaction and cultural understanding. And moreover, social media and the internet will continue to allow language learners to connect with native speakers globally. We're also going to have more multilingualism in the workplace, and hopefully with more people advocating for the preservation of endangered languages, we're going to see more efforts of that, of preserving languages. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. So did you know that over 3,000 languages are endangered today? And considering that there are between 6,000 and 7,000 languages currently spoken, that is a huge number. And linguists estimate that between 50 and 90% of them will be severely endangered or dead in the next 75 years. to globalization and mass migration. So that is obviously very sad because languages are not only means of communication, they are part of our identity, our culture. So it's really a shame that so many are disappearing. And of course, language learners can have different motivations to learn languages. However, if you have the time or the will, I encourage you to learn natural languages so that we can all contribute to the common goal of preserving languages. And I, for example, studied a bit of Maori, which is the language of indigenous population of New Zealand, and it was a really fun challenge for me. And it's fun because I'm giving this presentation in Ireland, which is a country that encourages using the Irish language, and you guys do that very well. I saw that you can have a discount if you order a coffee in Irish,